You know, and we all have our 15 minutes of fame, and I'd like to take a couple of my 15 minutes to talk about the rights and the wrongs in the world of professional wrestling.
And it is for the WWE Championship.
This match is for the ECW World Heavyweight Championship.
For the World Heavyweight Championship.
The match and new NWA Heavyweight Champion.
We appreciate you guys coming out and taking your time to support women's wrestling in America.
This match is for the AWA World Heavyweight Wrestling Championship.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another edition of the Rights and Wrongs of Pro Wrestling Podcast with your host, myself, Mr. Green. How are you? And thank you for tuning in. We got ourselves another episode in the books of WOW Women of Wrestling, and we're going to go through that top to bottom. Pretty good show this week, I must say. There's a lot of it that I enjoyed. You know, that far more good than bad. I would definitely say, but that's overall been the trend with the WOW Women of Wrestling program. As far as I can recall, I may have given flack on one episode, if I could say any over the course of the weeks that we've been doing this. But I wanted to have a quick side note just before I got into the WOW stuff and put out a congratulations to Ariel Monroe, at least the woman that was formerly known as Ariel Monroe, but you may know her primarily as Big Swole. She was a participant in the Mae Young Classic, this past one that just went by, and she was on AEW Dark. I believe she was tagging up with Mercedes Martinez, another Mae Young Classic veteran. But Big Swole, who is now signed to All Elite Wrestling. So congratulations to her. She's going to add into some more names to that women's roster. And that can only be construed as a good thing because, you know, I like All Elite Wrestling, but their women's division they're still in that building process. They're still trying to work out all the talents who's going to be on the roster and what have you. And having her on there is only going to do big things there. And as far as I know, she's currently one half of the Shine Tag Team Champions with Aja Pereira as part of AAA. And I think she's the Phoenix of Rise champion also. So we got a Shine title, we got a Rise title. She's signed to All Elite. I mean, so Big Swole is just on the move. So big congratulations to her. Speaking of people who just got signed as I am recording this, Shotzi Blackheart, I'm pretty sure a lot of people heard about her. Scarlett Bordeaux and Indy Hartwell have all been signed to the WWE Performance Center, which is, you know, pretty much the the connecting piece to NXT, because we can't really call NXT a developmental any longer. It's more like a third brand. So those three ladies have now gone down to the Performance Center, and is, I guess, only time will tell will we see them on the televised version of NXT, I should say, because I do believe they still got their house show run that goes around in Florida. But congratulations to all three of those ladies for getting their dreams met. I mean, this is one thing that happens, you know. I know there's some people out there who had issues with All Elite Wrestling, and, you know, especially when they first started, because I can't tell you how many times I heard people go on and complain about the show, not the show, but the promotion, or people that have been in the comment section of places like on Facebook, it's just a t-shirt company, because they didn't have any shows at the time. But look at them now, and this is the effect of that. The effect of it is we're going to sign some people, and some people are going to get some pretty good contracts based on that. I mean, my gosh, it's almost, I hate to use the word stockpiling, but it's almost like they being WWE is stockpiling talent to make sure that nobody else gets them. So, I mean, it's just all around. It's a good thing. They're going to fly through some money, but it's good for them, them being the wrestlers out there. So, for all you guys that's out there on the indies, just stay the course, man. There's more opportunities open up for all of you. Opportunities. I guess they will use that as the segue. Tessa Blanchard. I just got a press release not all that long ago that I'm just now reading. But Tessa Blanchard is set to challenge for the Impact Wrestling World's Heavyweight Championship, which is currently being held by The Draw, Sami Callihan. This will be at their pay-per-view, Hard to Kill, on January 1st. Now, we know that Impact Wrestling has already made the move to Access TV. That'll also be the bridge there for while I'm talking about Wow Women of Wrestling, because they share the same network. They also share the same talent. Tessa Blanchard being the Wow Women's Champion on the Wow television, and she's exceptionally good at it. And she's now going after the first major championship that any woman has challenged. Well, I can't say any woman. Let me correct that. Of a major promotion, we're listing as that has been basically the cusp of the press release. Is that for the first time on a pay-per-view of a major promotion, there will be a woman challenging for that company's highest title, and that title, of course, being the World's Heavyweight Championship. So it should be interesting. They've already had the start of their feud, and it's going to be a really divisive outcome as far as that goes. Anybody that has an opinion about it, you're welcome to leave it in the comment section below, or email it to me, mrgreen75@hotmail.com, because I know it is going to be a polarizing thing to have Tessa Blanchard challenge for the World's Heavyweight Championship. Yes, we already know that they can have a good match together, so I don't think that's the issue. Both of them, Tessa in particular is exceptionally talented. I haven't watched enough of Sami Callihan to say how good or bad he is. I personally don't know. I mean, in the times that I've seen him, he seems pretty good, but what do I know? But the end result here is that Impact Wrestling seems to be doing this for the value of, let's get a match out of this that we can sell. And I believe having a woman for the first time challenging for their big title is the major sell here. It is the thing that's going to put them across and separate them from other promotions like here, All Elite or WWE. Is not that they're even in the ballpark for either one of those promotions, but in terms of wrestling news, this is a big deal. But what do you think? How do you feel about it? Should Tessa Blanchard be challenging for the World's Heavyweight Championship of Impact Wrestling, or should she just stick to the Knockouts division? I'll be honest, my personal opinion, I kind of lean towards she should stay within the Knockouts division. My reason being, first off, let me just clarify to say I'm one of the biggest women's supporters that has been in the professional wrestling industry, hence the entire concept of the Women's Pro Wrestling Network. So it's not that I don't believe that she is incapable of doing it. My thought has always been, if you have divisions, the divisions are there for a reason. If you are in a, let's say, the mixed martial art, if you're a flyweight or a bantamweight or something like that, then you shouldn't just jump into the octagon or whatever the fighting field happens to be against a heavyweight. They're broken up to try to allow some level of fairness. Wrestling is the only thing that was like, it doesn't matter. And whereas that may be, you would at least think that they would give you some regard of trying to attempt that we're serious here, but it's it certainly doesn't seem like that's happening. They're getting past that. So, I mean, what can we say? I would love to hear your thoughts about it. My thoughts are, I like Tessa. Tessa, extremely good talent, but I would more or less love to see them focus on their women's division with her a part of it, opposed to chasing Sami Callihan around. That's just my personal opinion. but I am open to hearing yours as well. Also, I want to make a quick note about another WoW competitor that is doing stuff outside of the WoW scope. That would be Thunder Rosa, as some of you know her as Serpentine, and which she actually has a match in this episode. But she's going to be making her MMA debut on Combat Americas, which is also airing on Access TV. I mean, Access TV, I think, is mainly being notified or being identified as a combat sport television show. It seems like. I mean, you got WoW, you got Impact Wrestling, got I think they're still running New Japan. Now you got Combat Americas, which isn't a wrestling promotion, it's mixed martial arts. But still, there is a connection there because we got a professional wrestler who is taking that jump. And she has worked and trained extremely hard to try and make this thing happen. So you have to give credit for that. Anyway, let's get into the review of WoW, shall we? I mean, I know that's generally what some people tune in for, and I hope that you actually watch the show ahead of me, so you can follow along. That would be cool. So here we go. I mean, I talked about this before, that the show has a formula to it, and it's not breaking that formula. It took me about 5 weeks to feel comfortable saying, hey, there's a formula to this show, but there we have it. It's a formula to this show. It starts off with the show recap, a feud for the main event scene, which basically ends up being a video package setup for Jungle Grrrl and Tessa Blanchard. I like this. I do like it. Sometimes I don't care for the show recaps because I'm like, oh, come on, get to it already. I already seen this. I know that, blah, blah, blah. But I understand what it's there for, because the recap is illustrating the point to somebody who has not seen it. The show is going to be new for somebody, somewhere. Somebody's looking at that show for the first time. So having a recap about what they did, not a big deal, not a problem. And I mean, I actually, like I said, enjoyed this one because it, at least in this instance, made the fight feel bigger, even though I don't think it's any bigger than any other match that Tessa's had on the show thus far, but it made it feel that way. The first segment, the Beast, who is, I guess, the WoW original that is growing in popularity. She enters and I put this in my notes to make sure I've reminded myself that the two babyface announcers don't give opposing perspective. Now, what I meant by that was, as the Beast is coming out to the ring, they kept carrying on about, and the Beast would have won too if so-and-so hadn't interfered. Now, the Lioness, and I understand what the purpose of behind them doing that, because they have to make it come across as if Faith the Lioness had not Faith the Lioness, let's scratch that the Beast had victory in hand, and that she would have won had that not occurred, that being the interference by Faith the Lioness. See, I was putting her a little bit ahead of the story, because for those that didn't see it, Faith, when Jungle Grrrl gets the Beast down, she goes up to the top rope, Lana Star and Faith come out. Faith grabs the ankle of Jungle Grrrl, yanks her down, and there we go. It's a disqualification. But the point there being is that I don't know what match they were watching, because I was like, hey, Jungle Grrrl had this thing in control. Where is it that the Beast was going to win? What if somebody didn't interfere? By all accounts, I think it would have been Jungle Grrrl winning the match if she had nailed the splash. And that's one thing that I can say about her move. It has been protected. Her splash on the top rope has certainly been protected, and we'll go through that a little bit later on. But the Beast comes out the ringside, and as stated, the announcers are reinforcing the fact, whether it be entirely true or not, that she would be in the main event if Lana Star hadn't interfered. That, of course, brings out Lana Star, who then cuts a nice heel promo on the Beast. And kind of backtracks this whole thing. It's like, well, I would get in the ring with you, but I'm hurt, and Dave McClain won't let me get in. Which then goes back to that whole thing with the tag team tournament. It's like, why was she in that to begin with? Because we knew she could do anything there. But I had to give her credit. She took some big, considering the injury that she has had, or the punishment that she put on her body during her wrestling time as Lana Star. I was really surprised that they even had her stand on the apron, but she did all that and took the punishment, and for that I say bravo, Lana Star, bravo. Yeah, she tapped out and lost the match, but peeling behind the curtain, just her as a person, she talks it up and she backs it up. She's not just, hey, go out there and do this and I'll be the mouthpiece. She's actually taking a beating, as the mouthpiece. So I think that's real cool of her. I think she's probably a little bit more talented than she's given credit for, and if she had actually stayed within the confines of wrestling, she might have done better. Anyway, what this sets up for when Lana comes out, because she doesn't come out alone, is the Beast versus Lioness Part 2. We've already had that. But this match was every bit of what it should be. The Beast ultimately squashes Faith the Lioness inside of a minute. I mean, Faith had zero offense in here, zero. Just couldn't get air or opportunity. She was just out. So this is what the Beast's matches should be, man. This is what it should be right here. I'm hesitant to compare her to a Brock Lesnar or a Bill Goldberg, but that's the only thing I can really think of that could really drive the point home, is that if she's going to be the Beast, then she needs to be the Beast, and only a select few people should be able to hang with her. And I like this. I enjoyed the squash. I was like, it's quick. It was over with. They just moved on, and it got the point across. The Beast is bad. Do not mess with her. And I don't think it really hurts Faith the Lioness all that much either. That's a young lady that's I feel if she ever gets out on that circuit, and I said this last week, she would probably do so much better. I mean, she's pretty good right now. She is absolutely pretty good right now. Go back and watch her versus Tessa Blanchard. But I do think that she could probably use just a tad more polishing, perhaps that comes when you're outside of the WoW universe. But this is quick, it is dominant, and the powerbomb wins the match. Segment 3, Princess Ozzy is laying on the beach. This opens up a vignette for Ozzy, and they go into the backstory with her and Siren and the Holodead. If you've watched it so far, you would know where this is going. The vignette does a far better job of what watching it week to week has done, in my view. What was lost in the actual unfolding of it over the weeks, I think, was recaptured in this vignette. You understood where they were trying to go with this entire thing. It filled in the blanks. It showed some a little bit extra footage. Sorry about that. Open up a window. You might have heard some humming in the background there. Excuse me. But And that's one thing I can say about the vignettes and the video packages and things like that, is that it always shows a little bit of extra stuff, just a tad extra clip. And here we got that. Again, the video package, in my view, did a far better job of laying out what was going on than actually watching it week to week. So if you just walked in on this and you just looked at it right now, you would have been right up to date. You would have got caught up like, okay, I understand. She was kidnapped. She was let go. It's some kind of weird relationship going on. The announcers are trying to do the fill in. I didn't necessarily care for that so much, but they do what they do. They're the babyface announcers. But this also leads into what I thought was a really good match, and I'm getting ahead of it, but it was a good match. Serpentine, a.k.a. Thunder Rosa, taking on Princess Ozzy. I can't remember her real, her other working name. Ozzy still enters as a babyface, but make no mistake about this. From the moment that we heard a Mexico chant open up at the start for Serpentine, Serpentine became, I think I used the term before, a de facto babyface just by being there and being Hispanic and with a mostly Hispanic crowd. You know, it was somebody out there holding up a sign that said Mexico, and for that matter, Sophia Lopez. She was blatantly cheating at ringside, and they was just cheering for her. And now, that didn't mean that they were actively booing Aussie. They weren't booing her. Aussie was still a babyface, and people still enjoyed her. And you can see some people out there rooting for her. But if I was going to give, a percentage to the crowd, I think the crowd, let's say 85%, we're rooting for Serpentine, and they did. They roared for her. They roared for her. I mean, go back and watch this match. Go back and look at it. And, this is one of those cases that we're not planning this out. But this is what happened. Serpentine became the baby face. She was visibly cheered. I'm not going to go do play-by-play for all of this stuff like that. Look, we'll finish up with this. Say the Serpentine wins with a Serpentine driver, and the crowd erupts. There are times when Serpentine, aka Thunder Rosa, plays up to the crowd, but she did what she had to do. Like I said, Sophia Lopez cheats and they cheer. And, they're chanting Mexico. So, it was very easy to see who the favorite of the crowd was. And, I know I used the term in one of the earlier reviews of this, is that I think it was the Serpentine Tessa Blanchard episode that I reviewed, is that, that crowd was hot for Serpentine. And, if I'm a booker in that, I am now looking for when I can flip her babyface. That crowd wants to love her. There's no reason for them to be shoving her down their throats as a heel. She doesn't do it anyway. No matter what she does as a heel, they cheer it. Sophia Lopez, whatever she did outside as a heel, they cheered it. So, if that's the case, get them babyface, at least for a little while. Then Sophia can split off and do some dastardly deed. But yeah, I would absolutely go with that. I would go with the Serpentine as a babyface. Solid match. If you didn't see it, you should watch it. After the match is over, Saturday Night Holiday come out to Ozzy. They have their interaction in the ring, and Ozzy is looking around like, I don't know what's happening here, what's going on. So the story continues. It was a pretty good match. Segment 5 of the show, Shaw Guerrero video package. Another, really well done piece of work here. If there's anything that you can say about the Wild TV show, they do make very good video packages. And this one I particularly enjoyed because we really hadn't had the opportunity to I want to say meet Shaw Guerrero, but I mean that's basically what it is. We haven't had a chance to meet Shaw Guerrero. We know her. Some people out there may not be aware that she did wrestle briefly. They talked about that. They talked about the history with her family. Of course, they talk about her mom and dad, her uncle, her cousin. So, there's a layer of Shaw Guerrero that gets revealed here that I don't think most people had the chance to, at least not most WoW fans. People may recognize her or not recognize. Let me change that. Some people may know about her from her NXT days or Florida Championship Wrestling days, the FCW, before they were NXT, when she was pursuing wrestling for a brief period of time. And they showed a couple of photos of that. I thought that was cool. And it makes her more than just the ring announcer that we're just using out here for her name. Not that that's what they were doing, but, it does give some value, some additional value to Shaw Guerrero, in my view. And it ended on a good note, and because when you're looking at it, it kind of feels like, okay, are they setting up for something? But no, that they rope it back around with this interview, and she starts talking about being a ring announcer, and then at the end of that is, I want to be the best ring announcer. This isn't verbatim, that I can be. And, I want to be on the TV with, every segment. And I want to, be the best tattooed, curvy ring announcer that I could possibly be. Or, that alone, makes me like this segment because, back in the day, there's no real quick way to put it. Back in the day, everybody was a character, and I'm not even real big on using those terms, but everybody was a character. Howard Finkel, the world's most dangerous announcer, Gary Michael Capetta, Michael Buffer. Let's get ready to rumble. Those things help stand out, and they're presented part of the package. So having her be illustrated as such, I thought was really good. The only thing that I would add, or not add, that I would request as a viewer is I would think that this interview was a full-on sit-down interview, and it probably went longer than this. I'm now interested in seeing like a full-on sit-down interview with Jungle Grrrl. I want to see this. This video package made me want to know more about her. It made me want to hear more about her. Even if they just said, okay, look, if you want to see the full-on version of this, go to our website or go to our Facebook page. We're going to unleash it, or, we're going to drop it on our YouTube, something. But I'm legitimately interested in hearing more about Jungle Grrrl and what they were able to get out of her in this sit-down segment. So I thought it was really good. Segment 6 was a recap of the tag team tournament. This is the first real video highlighting the tournament at all. I had gone on and on and on about how I thought this tournament, was fine, but it never really told me who was in it, how many teams was in it, where they were going, how this was going to end, which is certainly their right, because it's a TV show, and the objective of the TV show is to keep you watching. So maybe it was a factor of, well, if we just keep them curious enough, they'll keep looking at it. It's just my personal preference that I prefer a sports field. I think that having them illustrate who's in it, how many teams are in it, how long this is going to go. There's a certain amount of anticipation that you can have just based on. Look, it happens every year with major sports. When you're looking at football, basketball, baseball, we know what we're heading for when we start the season. It is a rush for who is going to win that particular, not division, but that particular league's championship, their grand prize. And I thought, and again, this is just me, I'm not saying that it's a fault for WoW. I thought it would have come out better to know what we're dealing with rather than, oh yeah, and by the way, these people are in the tag team tournament too. I was like, I would have rather have known. Now, with the exception of Fire and Adrenaline, who we now know are in the finals, with the exception of them, I think that, we could have been told who was in it, and maybe, this is hindsight booking right now, but let's just say that it was 8 teams overall. I don't have my sheet in front of me for how many teams were legitimately in it, but let's say it was 8 teams overall, and we have 6 of them announced with 2 wild cards, to give somebody the opportunity to join if they wanted to join, something along those lines. Because the whole story here with Fire and Adrenaline is that they came together kind of somewhat last minute, and they joined the thing. It's like, hey, we're going to do this thing too. We're going to be the next tag team champions, which more than likely they probably are going to be. If I was a betting man at this point, I'm probably going to put my money behind Fire and Adrenaline to walk away as the Wild Tag Team champions. We know that the finals are now being produced, and we're going to go into that right after this next segment, which is segment 7, the Monsters of Madness, Havok and Hazard versus Sassy, Massy, and Chantilly, Chella. I was always pushing that the Monsters of Madness would probably get there, just if for nothing else, for size. Havok has been presented as a main event girl, as she should be, and now you got her tag team partner, both in WoW and outside of WoW. Outside of WoW, they're regarded as the Killer Death Machines. They are not going to be referred to as that here. So I say that because I was recently looking at a Facebook post where somebody had some name suggestion for, hey, they should call Amber O'Neal and Jesse Bell is some like bitch and grits or something crazy like that. I was like, they're not going to use that name, dude. Come on, that's not going to happen. I'm sorry. I mean, I don't care how clever you think it is. If it has any sort of curse in it or something like that, or implication of death or this, that, and the other, like, they are not going to use that. You got to keep in mind they are trying to appease sponsors. So yes, certain things that will work on the independent circuit will not work on the national platform. Anyhow, Havok and Hazard versus Sassy, Massy, and Chantilly, Chella, which I do enjoy the team of Massy and Chella. I thought that in the video package showing them not only win to get to this round, but then the last week they showed them winning in the individual matches. It gave them weight, and I really liked that. I really liked that last week. I liked it now that they help illustrate that they're capable. And they start off really good. It's Chella and Massy start off strong, nominally against Hazard. They took control of that up until Hazard cut it off with a big clothesline. That was when it took a turn for the worse as far as the team of Massy and Chella were concerned, because Havok came in and Havok took over. I really didn't want to go into taking notes for every single thing. I mean, because they pretty much kept control over Chella mostly at this point, and I'm not going to go into the full-on play-by-play, but one of the big spots of the match was the time where Havok got the chance to show off her strength. She catches Chella in a high cross body, and then Sassy Massy climbs up to the second rope, tries to help double team it. Now, I might have this in reverse because I don't have my paper in front of me, but it's the same rules apply, just so you know. So anyway, Massy comes off of the top rope. Havok catches her. So now she's got both girls in her arms at the same time, does not go down, gets a big pop from the crowd. They're like, whoa, because that is a big show of strength. She walks it out to the center and then double follow-away slam, sets them both down. And, that right there establishes who the heck Hazard is. And, it's those moments where I'm like, hey, this is why she will remain probably a top prospect. She will probably be the girl that could go back and forth between I can challenge for the tag team championships with my partner, or I can challenge for the main championship by myself. And I kind of like the idea of at least having one person that could do that, and Havok could be the one. Anyway, we finish off the match wheelbarrow cutter from Havok and Hazard. Of course, Havok being the setup woman, Hazard comes across, boom, nails with the wheelbarrow, 1, 2, 3. The Monsters of Madness advance, and they are now in the finals. So we got the final 3 teams set for the tag team tournament. That being the Monsters of Madness, Holiday and Siren, and also, as I said earlier, Fire and Adrenaline. So we got the final 3, and we now, due to this post-match interview, finally understand where they were trying to get to, which was this. They were having a 3-team match, which is going to be a triple threat elimination match. And I was saying a couple of weeks ago, as I was kind of making my own brackets for this, I was like, there's no way that this can work out to where it's just a one-on-one match. I said they may do a triple threat or something like that, which is exactly what they're not doing. So on paper, I guess that all roads lead to the triple threat. But the question is going to be, how's it going to work out to where, because my bet or my guess is Fire and Adrenaline. They walk into this as the only true babyface team of this tournament. My thoughts would be that you go with the babyface. You go with the babyface team. WoW hasn't really done anything opposite of that in the years that they've been in operation. When a tournament has come along, the Battle Royal to crown the first champion, Terry Gold wins that. The original tournament to crown the tag team champions, Cage Heat wins that, which were the de facto babyface tag team at the time. WoW is more a babyface promotion than it is a heel. I know they need the heels every once in a while. That has to occur. But like I said, if I'm guessing, I'm going with Fire and Adrenaline over the other 2 teams. If there's any scenario that would present why this would take place, I mean, perhaps, You have Siren and Holiday who are going to get eliminated due to something from, say, I don't know, the Psycho Sisters or Princess Ozzy or something. I think something is going to happen between one of these teams that's going to narrow the field down to where it's the Monsters of Madness versus Adrenaline and Fire, and you get the David and Goliath moment, or the small fiery team, no pun intended, overcomes the odds and they win the tag team championships. So that is my guess. I have no inside track on that. I'm just assuming that hey, this might be the way that they go with this whole thing. So I mean, so all that sounds cool, and I believe it's going to happen next week. So that is not something that you wait too much longer for. We're walking into tag team championships. Also, thinking about this final that the tag teams are having right now, it makes me feel like maybe they need a special, or so just a wow special that they could just kind of toss out. You know what I mean? That, like back in the day, you had your Clash of Champions or your Saturday Night Main Event. It was like they're on Access TV. I don't see why at least the pitch for a special for things like this couldn't occur, because they have to work extremely hard to make these big events feel like big events. I mean, you almost get a championship match once in a week, almost. I mean, it hasn't happened once every week. You've had, let's say about 3 or 4 of them, I think, at this point. We got Tessa versus Serpentine and Faith the Lioness, and who else we had? I think we had a triple threat. No, we didn't have a triple threat earlier. We had a triple threat for No More Contendership. Who am I missing here? Reina Reyes. Yeah, we had her, and okay, so I think we're up to 4. We're up to 4 championship matches out of 9 episodes. So it's not been overdone. I mean, I can't say that. But I know it becomes increasingly difficult to, like, hey, it's a special week. We got a championship match happening. It's harder and harder and harder to do that. So just a thought. It would be interesting to see if they would entertain having a special that they could put all the big matches on at least once in a year or something like that. Just a random thought there. Segment 8 is a video package highlighting the history of the Wild Championship, going back to its original years, back in 2000, and which is kind of funny. Again, I said it just earlier in this review. I'll say it now. The video packages always on point. They're always very good video packages. One thing that did catch me was, it was odd to me that they didn't use actual video footage of the first 2 champions, that being Terry Gold and Danger. They used a photo of them. I assume that they own the original footage. I mean, I don't know if this tied up in some sort of legal limbo or something like that, but I just it just caught me as strange, and I just assumed that they would have been able to do it. That they could break out a package. It's not like we haven't seen it before. We've seen videos of other people. We've seen videos of Cage Heat from back in the day. So why not them? Anyhow, they gave you the list of the 6 champions that WoW has had over the entirety of its existence. That being Terry Gold, Danger, Lana Star, Jungle Grrrl, Santana Garrett, and Tessa Blanchard. Those are the 6. So in the 18 years that they've existed, there's only been 6 champions. And I know in the video package that that's not something that you're going to think about, but it's like, man, that is pretty low. That's a low championship run there. But that's not the point of the package. Let me not sidetrack. That's not the point of the package that they produced. The package is there to set the table for Jungle Grrrl getting her shot against Tessa Blanchard, and Tessa Blanchard defending against Jungle Grrrl. So they give you all of that just to set the table for, what the championship means. Of course, and Wild television is like, the Wild Championship is the most prestigious women's championship ever. Now, that is, of course, open to debate. Perhaps we will have that debate on this program another day. I won't do it right now. But that is, of course, why would he say anything different? It's wow. It's supposed, he's supposed to promote his own stuff like he's doing. So, no issues with me there. He being David McClain in the video package pushes the narrative of what the Wild Championship means. Again, the most prestigious women's title in all of wrestling and all that good stuff, and why they're going after it. And it all makes sense. It all makes sense within the context of WoW. I like that they talk about the sacrifice, especially as it relates to Jungle Grrrl. The sacrifice of being from home, the sacrifice of doing this. Well, they talk about it with multiple people, but they highlight, they illustrate the points with Jungle Grrrl as well. It's like the sacrifice of being a mom, and all of that. I don't know if I would have gone into the age thing. At some point they basically allude to that. I don't know if I would have necessarily said that. I mean, I would have used other terms perhaps, because I cannot stress enough, Jungle Grrrl, physical marvel. It looks fantastic. Still can go. I mean, I love me some Jungle Grrrl. So and I stand by this statement. If you've listened to this podcast at any given point, you know that you've heard me say this. Jungle Grrrl should be the legacy of WoW. She should be the legacy of that company. And before I finish this out, I'm going to give my thoughts on one of the ways that you can help kind of secure her as a legacy act without necessarily giving her the championship. So that's just a little bit of fancy booking that from it was a conversation that I had on via email through somebody named Brooke. So I'll get into that a little bit later on. Anyway, final segment of the show, the main event, Jungle Grrrl versus Tessa Blanchard. There is only one thing that I would say that I would have liked done differently. Only one. I would have liked for them to do the boxing announcement deal, where they both come out to the ring. They both standing there. Shaw Guerrero's in the middle. And, this match is scheduled for one fall, 6-minute time limit, blah, blah, blah. And it's for the Wild Championship. And I say that because altering something as small as that every once in a while gives you the big match feel. And I wanted the big match feel for this because this match was being fought for from basically day one of this season. It should have felt different. It should have been a bigger deal. I mean, the video package made it a bigger deal right in and of itself. Don't get me wrong. I'm not taking anything away from that. But I just wanted to finish it out. I say, let's get them both in there. Let's have the big fight feel. Let it look like, let it feel like, let it smell and taste like this is the big one, and let's get it on. That's what I wanted. I'm not complaining that they didn't do it, but I just wanted them to have something extra, that just a little bit of oomph behind it to help push it along. But if you didn't see this match, you should watch it. The match that we had earlier, I mean, this is, I don't want to say it's a 2-match show because that would be negating the tag team match or the squash that we saw earlier. But the two biggest matches, I'll put it that way, was Serpentine, Princess Aussie, and it was this match, the main event, Jungle Grrrl and Tessa Blanchard. The difference between Serpentine and Aussie versus Jungle Grrrl and Blanchard is that oftentimes in this match, it felt very much like two women competing to win, not a cooperation of moves and this, that, and the other. It didn't come off like an exhibition. It looked and felt hard hitting. It felt like there was a struggle. It felt like there was something on the line that I have to win, and I liked it. I liked the fact that, I guess this is going to be the second thing. I said I only had one. I actually, in this case, enjoyed that some of the stuff was not polished. I enjoyed the fact that, that drop kick wasn't a polished drop kick. I enjoyed that, some of that stuff looked like, hey, I'm losing my balance on the ropes and stuff like that, because it felt more realistic. It felt real. Like I said, it felt like these are two women who are in here trying to get one over on each other, not some cooperation between two to put on a good show. I love this. Just from one end of it to the next, I love this. We get up to, I guess, what would be the final act of the match. Jungle Grrrl hits the Jungle Driver on Tessa Blanchard. She's setting her up for the big splash. I think they call hers the big queen of the splash from the top rope, which has been a protected move in WoW. Another good point. When she hits that splash, nobody has gotten up to date. So I love the fact that it has been protected. It has not been bastardized, so to speak. A lot of times in wrestling promotions now, you get a move that is used as a high spot. I mean, let me sidetrack here. We just saw this not all that long ago. I mean, look, if you're a WWE guy, then you know what I'm talking about. How many times did we see Seth Rollins break out that curb stomp on the Fiend and they get right back up? It's his finish. It's his finish. Why is he doing this? You can't think of any other move to use that he could just shake off. He should have, I mean, not like I'm better at putting a match together than him, but I would think that he would have stayed away from that or something, not just use it over and over and over and over and over and over and over again, only for him being the Fiend just to keep getting back up. It only bastardized his move. It cheapened it. And so now we got this. We got here in WoW, the opposite of that. The splash is regarded as a finish. She hits you with that, you're not getting up. And that is the way I like the match. And I like that with her. I like that it's been protected. And if she had done it, if somebody had kicked out of it, you get one. Or somebody special that they're trying to put over, something like that. But she being Jungle Grrrl, goes for the splash. Tessa sees it coming. She rolls out of the ring. Makes sense to me. Roll out, escape. I know I don't want to get hit with this. And so she gets to the floor. Jungle Grrrl sees that she goes to the floor and changes her direction. Now she's repositioning herself on the top rope. Scary. I don't know if you've ever been inside a wrestling ring before, but that being around or on the top rope is not as, it looks less of a drop on TV than it actually is. I mean, and that's a dangerous drop. I know, again, that's one of them things that we kind of take for granted watching this on TV, but that is a dangerous drop. She repositions herself and comes off like she's going to do like a double axe handle from the top rope to the floor. Tessa pops her in the mouth with like a side kick. Bam. Knocks her down to the floor. Gets her back into the ring, and that one mistake is what started, that turned that match around for Tessa Blanchard. Well, Jungle Grrrl pretty much had her. I mean, at some other point, it was a brawl. It was this and that, spears. I mean, they were firing elbows at each other. It felt pretty even up until Jungle Grrrl took control, and then she lost that control, but this one mistake. Goes out to the floor, hits her, catches with the sidekick. Now Tessa puts her back into the ring. And she sets her up for the Diamond DDT, that Hammerlock DDT that she's finished, that we have established on television. When I hit you with this, is over with. I just named off the people that she defended the title against up to this point. Serpentine, Raina Reyes, Faith Alliance. And when she's hit those people with that DDT, boom, it's done. We're finished. She hits Jungle Grrrl with the Diamond DDT. Last second, Jungle Grrrl kicks out. Or I should, to be more specific, she shoots that shoulder up off the mat. Last second. Reaching for, out of desperation to get the shoulder up. And Tessa is, I can't believe, that's the look that she's got on the face. I can't believe that. And, it helps tell the story. What stern stuff Jungle Grrrl is made of. And B, what the championship means. This is where I start to regard the championship as meaning something. Not just because we as announcers or commentators say it, not just because the video packages, those things help. They help a lot. But the actions that take place within the ring help define the championship. And the fact that she was so insistent on becoming the number one contender, so insistent on getting her shot to win it back, and so insistent that I am going to do what I have to do. And even though I'm on my last leg, I'm kicking, I'm trying to get my shoulder up so I can keep fighting, when clearly she had nothing left. And she didn't. She got out of that, but she didn't have much left. Tessa now is frustrated, so she's trying to think of something that she can do. She goes to the top rope. Jungle Grrrl gets up to her feet. Tessa comes down. A cold breaker from the top rope to the mat on Jungle Grrrl. Boom. 1, 2, 3. She scores the win on Jungle Grrrl. I don't think it was a good match. I enjoyed it. I don't think Jungle Grrrl lost anything losing this match. As I was saying before, she should wind up as the legacy of this show. And her going down to Tessa, particularly after kicking out of her finish, it's one of those cases that I don't think the loss is going to hurt her in the long run. I think that it's going to it repositions her, because she can't keep claiming that I'm the uncrowned champion. She's going to have to do something else to kind of regather who Jungle Grrrl is as far as this TV show is concerned. But she is, she's still Jungle Grrrl, man. She, and that's almost like being a title in and of itself within the WoW universe. So they finish out the match, and the commentators are like, there's a begrudging respect between these two, and da 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 da. So we have that. We've got the position where these two are now, at least as far as commentating is concerned, have some sort of respect towards the other, and that's fine. I'm good with that. So now it is, who's next? Who is next? Who are we going to set up next as a top contender for the WoW Championship? That should be the next story. But as of next week, we're going back into tag team territory, so that should be cool. I think that one other thing that has to come across here with the Jungle Grrrl Tessa Blanchard situation is defining Tessa Blanchard as a full-on heel. There are days when I'm not really sure what Tessa is, and in WoW, I mean, the story had been that she was avoiding Jungle Grrrl, but she was avoiding her by facing other top talent, which in the grand scheme of things didn't really make a lot of sense to me. I've carried on about that at the beginning because they've always painted this picture like I'm doing what I can not to get in the ring with the Beast and not to get in the ring with Jungle Grrrl, and therefore I'm taking these other matches. But these other matches, she has almost always been pushed to the absolute limit. It's not like they were a walk in the park or they were a squash or easy for her to get by. Each one of those people were like within seconds away from winning the match. So I didn't really understand that necessarily, that side of it. Also, I still maintain, and this is hindsight, Theo. I still maintain that they should have knocked off talking about how I'm the first person to beat you in 18 years and stuff like that. It's like I don't like that. I know where they're trying to go with it, and I know it's there to build Jungle Grrrl. But all they really had to say is Jungle Grrrl had been undefeated in her entire run in WoW. Jungle Grrrl, since the time she's been here, has not been beaten, and that's it. We don't have to have this unrealistic goal of 18 years tacked onto her. I mean, it sounds cool on paper, but there's nothing to back that up. They don't have enough footage to legitimately show that she has been undefeated for 18 years without expressing the fact that, well, yeah, it's been 18 years, but it's 18 years that 15 of those years we weren't in active. So, it doesn't really count. It is I think I used this analogy before. It is very much like at wrestling schools, or when you're running a independent promotion, you got somebody come up to you, it's like, yeah, I've been wrestling for 8 years now. Well, how many matches have you had? Well, you know, I took a hiatus back in the day, so I only really had, you know, 5 or 6 matches. I'm like, well, then you ain't been wrestling for 8 years. You had 5 or 6 matches. There's students at the schools that have 5 or 6 matches. You know, in fact, I was saying that in a year's time, just working with one promotion, you should have no less than 10. You know, that's in 1 year. Now that's assuming that you're not trying to get booked anywhere else, that you can't get another gig or nothing like that. 10, maybe. You know, you should at least have that much. So, you know, that story of the 18 years, I wish they would knock that off. I hope that this ends that. But at the same time, you know, they just need something else to illustrate that the whole almost 2 decades unbeaten is absurd. You know, and she shouldn't be ranked under absurdity. She should be ranked under what is true. And yes, it is true, but it's like a half-truth. You know, if it were me, it would just be, you know, ever since 2000, when Jungle Grrrl was here, she only suffered, you know, one loss, that being from the Wild Champion herself at the time, Terry Gold. You know, and since coming back, she's not been beaten. She's mowed through everybody. For the last, you know, because just saying the last 3 years is impressive enough. For the last 3 years, Jungle Grrrl has not taken a loss. Doesn't have to be 18 years. You know, just move on with that. Anyhow, so that was a Wild review for episode 9 of the Wild Superheroes as they move forward. I really enjoyed this episode. I enjoyed it from top to bottom. I don't think that it's going to hurt anything from the losses suffered by Lioness or Jungle Grrrl. I stand by this. I think Lioness needs to go and hit the independent circuit. I would really, really, really like to see her do that. If for no other reason to help polish off who she is. Not saying she should leave Wild. That is not what I'm implying. But I think that her getting out there would really help her out. She looks to be extremely talented, very athletic, and they clearly see something in her. And her wrestling elsewhere is not going to hurt. Is not going to hurt, especially, you know, look, she's in LA. Just take some of them independents that's out in California. And I know it's probably a pain in the ass because they're not going to pay a lot, but she will learn a lot. And she's got a national TV gig, so it's not like she's losing anything. It's like, just do it for yourself. Do it to get better. You know, there's only so much that you're going to learn in a sterile environment. You know, that's nothing against the training that is going on inside of the Wild training facility, but there's only so much that you can get in one location. You got to go and leave. I mean, every job will tell you that. You can learn something inside of the class or inside of the training grounds, but you really get the lessons learned when you're actually doing it. And that'll change certain things around. It's like, okay, how do you read your crowd? How do you read the audience? What do you do in cases like that? And so on and so forth. That's what I was, you know, that's my suggestion in as regards to her. As far as Jungle Grrrl is concerned, as I said earlier, a question that had been presented to me as the, you know, what would I do as a booker, because I do fantasy booking when I do these interviews with certain talents, and I need to get back to bringing some of those interviewees on. But I do this fantasy booking thing. So I was asking, like, look, you know, you say that you would have her as a legacy. What do you mean? How would you make her a legacy? How would you position her to where she's something different than everybody else? Okay, so I like that question. Again, Brooke sent that in to me. And that wasn't verbatim because I didn't have the question in front of me. But that's basically it. So, how would I do it? Well, this is the first thing. Let's assume that we're booking this from this point out, because, you know, I'm sure they got the show pretty well taped at this size, so we're going to ignore the future that they have for her at this point, and we're just going to go with our own little timeline here about what we could do with Jungle Grrrl. And before I get into that, I guess the next thing that they're going to have to try to sell is the Beast. The Beast being the big bad chick on the block and going after the championship because they're clearly grooming her for the championship. So I think that has to be also accounted for here as well. First thing is continue to keep the losses few and far between. Her losing to Tessa isn't going to hurt her. Her losing to somebody out of clear, somebody that's perceived lower on the card, maybe. But keep the losses with Jungle Grrrl few and far between. If they're not a main event person or if we're not trying to get somebody over immediately, then she shouldn't be losing. Jungle Grrrl should be who Jungle Grrrl is. She, this technically qualifies as only her second loss in WoW. That being to Terry Gold, who was the champion at the time, and Tessa Blanchard, who's the champion at the time. So that's the first thing I'm using right there. Is like I've only lost to the champions here. I've never been beaten by somebody who did not walk out here with a championship belt. And, that alone should place her in a different plateau. And she should use that. Anytime that you've ever seen my shoulders pinned to the mat, it's been through outside interference, a mistake that I made that caused me to lose. And when I made that mistake, it was against the top in the business, against the champion of WoW at that time. She could position that as a plus in her promo. And I know she's capable of doing it. I've heard her cut a promo. So that's the first thing. She could reposition that loss as a testament to who she is. I've never lost to somebody who was not a world champion. And it is all the more reason why I should be challenging for that, because I have to be the best. I've got to be the best. I got to be the best that, this business has ever seen. I got to be the best in this company, and if it takes me going after her from now to whenever, I will continue to wage this war until I get what I want. So don't have her roll over and die. Let her still be Jungle Grrrl. Let her still be the warrior that she is. Now, part of what helps keep those legacy things is that everybody else has to respect her in that position too. They have to respect the fact that Jungle Grrrl is, an original, and that she is in amazing condition, that she's a genetic wonder. That they've got, they all have got to view her as this phenom, so to speak. So when she's talked about on commentary, even if she's heel, they have to slide in a little bit of but Jungle Grrrl's this, Jungle Grrrl's that, and they do that. But I'm just saying, just a little bit more, just a little bit more to give her that extra oomph. So can't think of a better term than oomph. So yeah, just for her to have that. Also, now here's where it starts to change. If you're not going to put the championship on her, then these are the points in wrestling where you give things to help placate the individual and give them something that they can utilize as a means of success. I know WoW has no intentions of using a secondary championship. I was at that press conference. I heard the question asked, like, hey, you're going to have a WoW TV title or some secondary title of some sort. Dave McClain does not want to do that. He's like, I want the WoW championship to be the championship. Now, that's fine, and we've seen that happen over the years with some promotions. The only downslide to that is that some people are never designed to be the world's champion in any given company. They just, it's just not going to happen. So it immediately cuts out some of the competitors from having a championship belt that they can get. They're just not going to qualify for it. So my suggestion, what you do in a case like this, is that you have the annual event type deal that you can get and hold that as a trophy. So it's not a defendable title, but it's a title that you can utilize to say, well, I'm that good. So let's just say in this particular instance, we have main event mayhem. Let's call it that. Now, I actually just thought about that on the spot, which is only my way of saying let's get the main event girls on WoW and put them in something like a 6-person elimination match. And and Main Event Mayhem just popped in my head. So we call it Main Event Mayhem. And we got this match, and I don't know who could we have in the 6 people that goes in there. And in this case, you include the champion. You include Tessa Blanchard. Okay, so we start with that. That way, she could be in the match that she could participate in, not have to put the title up on the line also, so she can lose and not lose the belt. So we got Tessa Blanchard. We put Jungle Grrrl. We put the Beast. We put Reina Reyes. We who is that? That's 4. Serpentine, and a little rounded out with somebody else. I don't know. Havok, I guess. I mean, I'm doing this off the fly, so I don't even know if that's a equal number of baby faces. And take Havok out, put the Lioness in. That's how I do it, the Lioness, because I think you get two birds with one stone here. If you got a match like that, you could really set the pace with making the Lioness look really good, and also making the Beast look dominant to where like multiple people have to do something to eliminate her. Let the Lioness run the gambit, like last a long time. If this is a 1-match show, if this match lasted for an hour, then Lioness should be in there for no less than like 50 minutes. So she has convinced the people that I belong. But ultimately, you have Jungle Grrrl win it. That would be the first thing. You have Jungle Grrrl win the match. And with her winning the match, and truth be told, what I would do in there is I would have Jungle Grrrl beat Tessa Blanchard. I would have her eliminate her, not with a splash, not with a jungle driver or nothing like that. I would have her just catch her real quick, like a small package or a roll-up, something like that. Something where Tessa would have the ability to lose her mind when she lost and run around like a crazy person that shouldn't have happened, or whatever case may be, and have legitimate claim to it was a fluke, something along those lines. But the fact of the matter would be that in this matchup, she would have lost and Jungle Grrrl would have won, and she wins the Genie Bus Invitational plaque or whatever, the trophy, something along those lines that she can hold high and say, look, I got it. I'm still Jungle Grrrl, I'm still the queen of the ring, etc., etc. That is what things like that, I would toss that in every once in a while to help remind people that Jungle Grrrl is still capable. She still can go. She can still win, a title or two when it is called upon to win a title too. I got that kind of idea from the booking of Dusty Rhodes, because when you look at Dusty Rhodes over the grand scheme of his career, now we romanticize, I should say, promotions romanticize him as like a great world champion. But the truth, he was a great world champion. I'm certainly not discounting that. But the truth of the matter is, if you add up all his title runs, I don't think it equates to a full year. I'm not even sure if it goes to a full 6 months, quite honestly. He's won the title 3 times, but he never held it for a long time on any particular reign. So, but he was Dusty Rhodes, and he was always in the main event because he always had reason and just cause to be in the main event. He was always beating a top guy. He was always in a top feud. He always had a championship that he could kind of hold as a standard to say, look, I'm still around. United States Championship, TV Championship, Tag Team, 6-man, National Championship. He pretty much won all that. And then, even if you remove those, he had these events that he could go and do on a regular basis that would help solidify who he was. The Bunkhouse Stampede, that wasn't just a pay-per-view. That was a match. The Bunkhouse Stampede, and he won that thing like 3 years in a row. Stuff like that. The Crockett Cup tournament. He and Koloff win this big, huge trophy and the check for $1 million. So those things, it's that type of booking. I was like, if you have those, then it helps keep you looking strong. That was the original point behind the King of the Ring pay-per-view. Bret Hart loses the championship. They book him in the King of the Ring, and they book him to be as strong as he could possibly. If you haven't looked at that match or that pay-per-view, go back and watch it. Bret Hart put on a clinic that entire pay-per-view, and it put him as the guy in a time when Hulk Hogan was being phased down. Bret Hart was now on the rise. And I would say, getting back to the point at hand, you have events such as that and these moments such as that in the career of Jungle Grrrl. I just gave you one. I just gave you, let's have her win a trophy or a plaque or something along those lines. I just talked about the Bunkhouse Stampede, which is a match in essence made for Dusty Rhodes. They could have a match made for Jungle Grrrl. The Queen of the Serengeti match. Something like that. No holds barred. I don't know. 10 woman something. I mean, I'm doing this off the top of my head. I don't know what kind of rules you would apply to that or whatever the case may be, but something that she could go in there and she can win and she, then be illustrated as I'm a top girl. Now I wouldn't do that all the time. You just kind of drop it in there systematically. I wouldn't do that all the time. I would just kind of drop that in here and there. Just to help remind people. If we ever, one thing I would do is I would get the Beast and Jungle Grrrl back on the same page at some point and have them go after and win the tag team championships. How would I do that? Let's say Adrenaline and Fire win the tag team titles in this tournament. The Monsters of Madness feel cheated. Demand a rematch. A month later, they finally get it after plowing through the competition. Get the match. Boom, boom, boom. We win. Now, on the other side of the spectrum, we got the Beast. We got Jungle Grrrl. The Beast and Jungle Grrrl are still not friends, but at the same time, there has been some level of respect there. And you got the confrontation between the two. It's like, one of these days, you and I, we're going to have to do this one more time to really decide who's the best between the two. And, as they're having that, you have somebody come up and give them some lip. You have Havok come in and say, I still got unfinished business with you two. You two clowns. So, whatever the case would be. And, they could challenge them right there and right there. It's like, look, I want this. Well, I should say they should challenge him. Dave McClain could take the heat for that. He could pop up and say, well, hey, we got a match in open ring, no time like the present, let's do it. And you know what? Let's put the Wild Tag Team Championships on the line. That way the heat can go on him for making us, rather than Havok and Hazard making a stupid decision, because they have nothing to gain to challenge and say, we'll put the titles on the line. But if they're made to do it, then they can, they can come back and complain and gripe and all that stuff later. So you have the tag team match applied impromptu. You play up the distrust between Beast and Jungle Grrrl because we've already established that they didn't really like each other. You can have one of them look like they're prepared to walk away. You can have Jungle Grrrl get off the apron and walk down the aisle, and I'm halfway there. I'm thinking about it. I'm thinking about walking back to this locker room and just leaving her ass high and dry. But then I change my mind. I go back and I reach out. Come on, make the tag. Hit me up. And, she makes the tag. They get on the same page for this one time. They illustrate this physical dominance that they've been showing and that WoW has illustrated with them all along. You have the big finish. I don't know. You get the Beast, Powerbomb, Hazard, and tag in Jungle Grrrl, give her the big splash off the top, boom, so you got hit with both of their moves, it's over with, 1, 2, 3, now they're the tag team champions. And Hazard takes the fall, protects Havok. So all of that going on at that point, we have set the tone for a couple of different things. Havok is still protected. We got new tag team champions with the unlikely duo, the odd couple storyline, if you will. And they can then go and defend the title, let's say, the following month and drop it. I mean, the important thing there is just that they win the championships. And that, again, that way you keep Jungle Grrrl going. That's the ultimate story. Now, the other things that you would get out of that would just be subsidiary. Getting something for the Beast out of it, getting something for Jungle Grrrl out of it. It's like those things are just extra. But you get to, I would have them drop it back to the Monsters of Madness. I would just have them do something along the lines of like hiring Sophia Lopez or something to help them get the job done. Just for the one match, or hiring some manager that can step in and help cheat them, cheat to get it back. So we can end with Beast and Jungle Grrrl losing the title, but not necessarily losing face, with that. Like have Sophia Lopez write up in the rematch papers that you can lose the title under any circumstances if you're disqualified or count out or whatever. So they can lose and they can, they can stay strong and what have you to get the titles back, and Jungle Grrrl and the Beast don't have to suffer a loss or a pinfall, or a submission to do it. I mean, there's probably a dozen ways that you could position Jungle Grrrl as the legacy act, or the legend, if you will, of the Wild Universe, because you only need one. You only need one, and she is the one. I mean, Lana is still there, but Lana isn't really active. She's just kind of there, and that's fine. But she's not an active competitor. So what I would just have that happen. I would do what I could to protect, position, and illustrate Jungle Grrrl as my legend of this show, of this promotion, and I would move on from there. Those are just a couple examples that I came up with right there, and one of them was kind of thought out, or halfway thought out. The rest of that I did, that was off the top of my head. So there you have it. That is what I would do if I was booking for WoW, or booking specifically to try to position Jungle Grrrl. Anywho, that's it, folks. I think I have given plenty in this episode of the rights and wrongs of pro wrestling. For those of you that have not done so, please subscribe to the channel. I would very much enjoy having you as a subscriber. And if you're listening to this on YouTube, go on and click the subscribe button, click the bell for notifications so you'll be aware when this comes in. Generally, the episodes drop every Saturday night at 9 p.m. The second that WoW goes off, then this comes on. So whether you are somebody that actually has watched WoW and then wants to hear the recap of the show, or you don't have Access TV, you're trying to find out what happened on the program, then you have me. You have that I'm there to give you that full review, and it will be waiting for you the second that show goes off. So there you have it, folks. If you listen to this on any other location, Podbean, iTunes, TuneIn Radio, Spotify, so on and so forth, please subscribe there as well. If you are unsure where to go, you can go to our website. Everything drops there. Everything drops at WPNWrestling.com. And that is the videos. We got the video that stream that runs 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So you can also watch full-on matches. You can watch interviews with some of the talents of the independent circuit. And the podcast, as you're listening to here, it goes there as well. So you've got multiple options, multiple locations, multiple ways that you can support, follow, like the Women's Pro Wrestling Network, and everything that you have done, all the likes, the follows, the subscribes, the questions, the what have you, even visiting the website, even just going to the website and visiting helps the analytics and helps this channel, helps this company, I'll say, grow. It has helped a great deal. I want to thank everybody that has taken the time even just to listen. I really sincerely mean that. I know in the YouTube universe, the amount of people that's on this channel will be considered low by some of those large channels, but truthfully, I never thought that it would get this high. I never gave it that much credit. So I'm surprised and thankful. I appreciate everybody for doing that. And if you haven't done it so far, please do. I mean, like I said, the growth absolutely helps. Helps a lot. So with that, I'm going to close this thing on up. And I will say one other thing. If you are somebody that likes to listen to these things on the go, typically go down in the descriptions and check for the MP3 link. I usually put those down there. So if you are wanting to just download it to your phone or download it onto a flash drive or something like that so you can listen to it while you're driving around. If you're somebody that doesn't have unlimited data, let's say, because I don't carry unlimited data. I know that's terrible, but I don't. So I download a lot of stuff. I just download it, put it on my flash drive, then I pop it in the car and I drive wherever I'm going. So you can do that too. Just hit that link, get the MP3, and download it to whatever device that you may need or want it for, and listen to it at your leisure. And with that, I think that will do this episode. I want to thank you for tuning in. Thank you for your support and everything else. And I will close, as I always close, telling you that this is Mr. Green saying, so long, and we will see you on the next go round.